Hey, Shalom, Shalom, Akim. To Brother Rat Allah from GMS London Camp. First and foremost, want to give all praises and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone. Blessings to the hopeful and sincere elect. So, a quick one. Just saw this on the news feed earlier on. There's a Gaza militants launch barrage of rockets into Israel as Passover begins. Now, the Passover is supposed to be a time of a solemn assembly, a serious time when people are supposed to be in a humble state, and Sabbath, is a time of rest. And to show you more proof that the true people of the Lord, the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, are still not in the Holy Land, their motherland, known as the land of Israel, or Jerusalem, Yara Shalom, city of peace, is that there's war over there going on right now. You got Gaza militants launching barrage of rockets into Israel as Passover begins. So that's just more proof that the true inhabitants of that land right now are not in the Holy Land, and you got a bunch of heathens in there, going back and forth, namely the so-called white man, going back with Ishmael and Edom as well, Arabs and Edomites that are in the land, and all kinds of hell that's breaking loose over there, different reforms and all of that. Them trying to get rid of Netanyahu, Benjamin, not a real Jew, Netanyahu, over there in Israel, they're showing you that whole those small hats, the 1948ers, are not the true inhabitants of the land. They're not the people that they say they are, man. They're a bunch of imposters, man. They're suffering from something called identity theft. They've stolen another people's heritage and made themselves fat as the heifer. As it tells in Jeremiah 50, around 11th verse, man. The destroyers of the Lord's heritage, man. That's the Esau Edom, these so-called white people. They're not the real Jews, man. They're a bunch of imposters, man. Because if there was the real Jews, the prophecies say that there'll be peace in the land and the nations will learn no more war. But you got a high holy day, so to speak, they call it, the Easter and all that madness, but there's no Easter in the scriptures, man. It's Pesach. And they're celebrating Passover there right now. But they got a bunch of heathens going back and forth, starting wars, man, shooting missiles and all of that, while they're celebrating Passover, a solemn assembly, supposed to be a high holy day of the Lord. It don't make no sense. So that shows you there's no peace in the land. Even your man Gamal Nasser, the old Egyptian president, and he made a statement, and he said that there will never be peace in the land of Israel because the Jews left the land black and came back white. So there will never be no peace in the land of Israel, man. And this is more testament to that fact, man, that statement, because you got Gaza militants launching barrage of rockets. At the same time, they're supposed to be holding a solemn assembly called the Passover, man, which is supposed to be a humble assembly of the Lord passing over and delivering us in the land of Egypt. So this it's hypocrisy, man. This is why the Lord says he's going to destroy the tabernacles of bribery, which is these Edomites, man, because they're a bunch of hypocrites. They're liars, man. And they're not the true people of the Lord. They're Edomites. They're Hebrew Edomites, man. They're not Hebrew Israelites, and the truth is coming out. So anyway, I just want to, read one or two scriptures and close out. Not make this too long. It's Isaiah 2. And, I'll start from 1. It says, the word of that Isaiah, the son of Amos, saw concerning Judah and Jerusalem. So this the whole 12 tribes, because the 12 tribes are going to come back together through the house of David. The tabernacles of David are coming back together. The Lord sifting the house of Israel, the house of David right now, as we speak, known as the elect, the remnant, and that contains 12 tribes, 12,000 from each tribe of the nation of Israel. It says, and it shall come to pass in the last days, which are in the last days right now, it says that the mountain of the Lord's house shall be established at the top of the mountains. Yeah, and that's not happened yet. This is a prophecy waiting to happen, but we're in the last days. We're the end of Esau's rulership. So that even more proof that these devils that are calling themselves so-called, Jews, they're not the real Jews, because, the Lord said in the last days he's going to establish us and set us back in the Holy Land, in righteousness. But there's war going on over there right now. So it doesn't make sense. It says, and shall be exalted above the hills, and all nations shall flow unto it. Yeah, and all nations ain't flowing into the land of Israel right now. because as I said, they're fighting and skirmishing over the land between the Gazas and the Israelis and all that. You know, there's Palestinians and the Israelis. They're fighting for the land that's not even theirs. Verse 3 says, and many people shall go and say, come ye, and let us go up to the mountain of the Lord, to the house of the Most High, of Jacob, the power of Jacob, and he will teach us of his ways. Yeah, these nations ain't learning of the ways of Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shai right now. They're not learning of the ways. They got Tel Aviv is the biggest, batty boy capital on the face of the earth. Tel Aviv, that's part of the Lord's holy land, right? In the land of Israel, Tel Aviv is the biggest gay capital on the face of the earth. So they ain't learning the ways of the Lord, because in the scriptures it straightly tells you that the Lord's not down with, batty boy flamers, man. He's not down with the homo status and all that, man. They're supposed to be put to death, and they got that running rife in the Lord's land. That's that's the Lord's pleasant land, the land of Israel, man. So, these devils ain't following the ways of the Lord. It says, and he will teach us of his ways, and we will walk in his paths. They ain't walking in the paths of the Lord, because they're not the people of the Lord, man. They're a bunch of heathens, namely Edomites, man. It says, for out of Zion shall go forth the law, and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem. And that's not happening right now. Why? Because the true inhabitants of the land are not in the land. It says, and he shall judge among the nations, and shall rebuke many people. And they shall beat their swords into plowshares, and their spears into pruning hooks. Yeah, the total opposite is happening right now. Right now, they're beating their plowshares into swords, and their pruning hooks into spears. Why? Because we're in the time of war. That's written of in Joel, the 3rd chapter, from the 9th verse on down. These nations are preparing for war, and Israel, the land of Israel, is a big, major part of that. They're going to get blown to hell and back in this last world war. The World War III, the War of Armageddon. America and Israel are going to get wiped out, man. Those lands need to be cleansed. That's what that nuclear fire is for. So that there's no peace in the land right now. There's no swords being turned into plowshares and spears into the pruning hooks. It's the total opposite. Why? Because once again, the people of the land are not the true inhabitants of that land. They're imposters, man. It says, nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. But according to what's going on right now, even as they're celebrating the so-called High Holy Day, the Passover, there's war going on. There's conflicts going on, man. There's people shooting missiles and all of that, trying to blow people up, trying to kill people. So that's showing you, that's more proof that the nations ain't learning war anymore right now, because they got the weapons to actually kill each other. And that goes back to that great sword that was given unto who? The Edomites, the so-called white man. As his blessing, his ultimate blessing, is the power of that great sword, which is ultimately those nuclear, weapons, man. The WMDs, the weapons of mass destruction, which is going to bring an end to his empire on the earth. This is blatant in the scriptures. So this is more proof that the true inhabitants of that land are not in the land. So, read this precept and close out. Isaiah 14:1, it says, for the Lord will have mercy on Jacob and will yet choose Israel. Yeah, that's only the 12 tribes. That's an exclusive contract between your Heavenly Father, Yahweh, and his Son, Yahweh Shai, and the 12 tribes of Israel, starting with the elect. It says, for the Lord will have mercy on Jacob and will yet choose Israel and set them in their own land. Yeah, we're going to go back to the Holy Land when the Lord comes and rescues us, man. He comes and redeem us from our enemies. Deliver us from the land of the north and worldwide by way of the holy angels in something the white man calls UFOs, which are the chariots of Israel. It says, and the strangers shall be joined with them, Israelite foreigners. It says, and they shall cleave unto the house of Jacob. Yeah, so the Lord's going to rescue us, starting with the elect, and bring us back to the Holy Land, and we're going to rule from the Holy Land and, delegate the law to these other heathen nations. And they're going to be our subjects, man. They're going to be in slavery under us. It says, and the people shall take them and bring them to their place, and the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord for servants and handmaids, slaves. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here's the patience and the faith of the saints. So this is yet to come. This is what we've been patiently waiting for. earnestly and hasten the day of the day of the Lord. You know, it says, and they shall take them captives whose captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors. So that's not happening right now. Our oppressors are still ruling. Our oppressors have stolen the Lord's land and turned it into the biggest one of the cities into one of the biggest gay capitals on the face of the earth. So our oppressors are still ruling, man. You know, and we're getting ready to put our oppressors into captivity when it's all said and done. Once the smoke is cleared, man. You know, and the Lord comes with them chariots, especially the fathership, to deliver his elect from the four winds of the earth. So yeah, you know, we got to keep our eyes on the prize, which is the kingdom of heaven, and keep watching and praying, man, because we're almost at the, you know, we're definitely at the door. You know, things are heating up, man. You can see it, man. Worldwide, things are heating up and intensifying worldwide. So, you know, this time next year we could be in the kingdom, Abaratazar, man. That's what we're hastening in the day. So anyway, with that, when to close out, give all praises and glory to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai Bahashem Rachachadash. Shalom to the hopeful and sincere elect.